Welcome to the first ever edition of Wrestling in the Basement. So, Thor, obviously, I've been doing these Raw recaps the last couple weeks as Thor's Thoughts. We've been talking a while about splitting wrestling from the main show. And then last week, if you guys were watching episode 58, we actually decided on the episode what to call it and that we were going to officially split it. So here it is. Here's the first episode of Wrestling in the Basement. I'm going to be doing probably most of them by myself, kind of like the Thor's Thoughts. But for the pay-per-views, we'll definitely have Brian. I want to have special guests. I do want to start getting maybe special guests for the Raws. SmackDown's going live in July. We're definitely going to be doing after shows for that, I think, too. But we'll see. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Right now, it's Raw and pay-per-views, and we'll go from there. So we'll see how you guys like it. But it's a Basement Boy Banner production. It's called Wrestling in the Basement, just like a Gamer Corner or Thor's Thoughts or the reviews. Same shit, just, different name. So, and now if you don't like wrestling, you don't have to, skip the end of our shows. You can watch all the way to the end of the episodes. So with all that being said, welcome to Wrestling in the Basement. I am the host, Thor. Let's get right into it. We got Raw from May 30th, Memorial Day, Cena's return. We'll get to all that. But Raw opens out with Stephanie and Shane McMahon coming down to the ring. And they start talking about the brand. They call it the brand expansion, but it's just a brand split. So it was announced last week. I think we mentioned on the show that SmackDown's now going to air on Tuesday nights and be live. And Raw is still going to be Monday live. So now we're going to have back-to-back live shows every week. And they're going to split the roster. So now Some people will be exclusive to SmackDown. Some people will be exclusive to Raw. And I'm sure there'll be some that travel back and forth. Maybe champions. I don't even think they really know how they're going to work it yet because you don't know who's running anything. You don't know who's going to be on what. Then New Day came out, and they asked a lot of good questions like, are they getting split up? Like, what's the plan? Who's going to run Raw? Who's going to run SmackDown? And honestly, Stephanie and Shane didn't really have a lot of answers. They said everything's on the table. Everything's being discussed. Who knows what's going to happen? I thought the opening segment worked well until the Vaudevillains showed up. It was a good segment. They were there doing a dance battle with Stephanie and Shane. Stephanie was about to dance. Vaudevillains hit the stage, kind of killed the vibe on what was going on in the opening segment. So then we go into the first match of the night, New Day versus the Vaudevillains. This match was kind of odd because it was just their match they had back at Extreme Rules for the Tag Team Championship. Well, tonight's was just a regular tag match, and it was a fine match. It wasn't that long. I think it maybe went a segment. It might have had one commercial break, but then right at the end, Gallows and Anderson show up, beat the crap out of Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Vaudevillains attack Big E, then Gallows and Anderson come in and destroy Big E. Obviously, they're going for the tag team belts, which I think makes a ton of sense because the Vaudevillains, they're a good tag team, but they're not ready to be the main heels to New Day. New Day's on fire, and the Vaudevillains are not. Gallows and Anderson can actually, I think, run a good story or a good feud with the New Day that would make sense. So I'm all behind this feud starting right there tonight. Then after that, we got a Apollo Crews and Big Show backstage piece talking about Sheamus. Is Apollo gonna step up or run? It was a good segment. It was because Big Show talked about he was from the Jurassic Age, like he's been around forever. He doesn't care New Age, Old Age, Attitude Era. Like he doesn't care about any of that stuff. He's just Big Show. And I kind of liked how some of the older statements are taking these roles as more mentors now for these younger guys. I think this is working for the WWE. This new movement, this new era is working so far. Now I don't know if it's going to continue to work, but it's working for me up to this point. So then we had probably the weakest match of the night, Breeze Dango versus the Usos. Usos won. Golden Truth, Goldust, and R-Truth were on commentary. It was a whole bunch of mess. I just don't love any of this storyline, so I don't really care. So, yeah, that's it, realistically. Then another really weak spot of the night was Reigns and Rollins. Reigns comes out, tons of boos, says some stuff, challenges Rollins. Rollins comes out, stops, goes back, grabs the mic, drops the mic, goes back, and he's just kind of like playing mind games is what they were trying to do, but it didn't work. It just didn't work. The bit didn't work. It made Reigns look stupid and Rollins look weak. And I'm sorry, but that's not how you build up to this, what could be a WrestleMania main event for Money in the Bank. But we got 3 more weeks, so I'm going to give them a pass on this. Let's see what they do next week, but not a strong segment of the show. Then we had Rusev versus Zack Ryder. This was a squash match. Rusev smashed Zack Ryder quick. He hit the Accolade reverse, so he was on his back and had Zack Ryder on top of him when he hit the Accolade, which I don't think I've seen him do that before. But then he started talking about how he was a great hero and something about America. And then Titus O'Neil came out and smacked the crap out of him. would love to see them give Titus a run. I would, because he's physically a monster. If they're going to give him a run, let's do it. Let's try it. Let's one last hurrah and see what happens. Because they're also bringing Darren Young back. They've had those little mini segments with him and I want to say Bob Backlund. I can't remember, but some old wrestler who's like coaching him up. I don't know. That one's not working for me either. But Titus O'Neil, if he's going to feud Rusev, I love it. It makes a lot of sense. He's a physical being. Rusev is a physical being. Let's go. Then we got Charlotte and Steph in a backstage thing. Steph pretty much like tore Charlotte apart. Said she was like not worthy of wearing the belt, a whole bunch of other stuff because of what she did to her father last week. And they had ran a video clip of like her with her father, like getting the championship and then turning on her father and whatnot. I don't know if this is working for me either, to be honest right now. Good thing there's a lot of things that coming up later in the show that are working very well, because some of this stuff in the beginning isn't working that well for me. I mean, the Sheamus Apollo Crews thing isn't working that well for me. So then obviously something I love every week, Enzo and Big Cass come out. They're up against the Dudley Boys. They beat the Dudley Boys finally, which I like to see Enzo and Big Cass get some wins. Enzo was on point tonight. He's like, he had some lines and keep it G like the freaking Green Bay helmet. They were both on point. I was on the phone actually at the time, and the person I was talking to, I got completely distracted, and they actually like let me go because I was too into watching Enzo and Big Cass. Because on the microphone and in the ring, they're phenomenal. They're going to be a tag team that I hope is going to be around for quite a while from this point on. And Enzo on that mic, that dude is fucking bananas. That guy's love or hate him, he is on the microphone. You can't mess with his skills. Realistically, as a wrestler, maybe not the greatest, but as a mic performer, he's hard to beat. Excuse me, he's hard to beat right now. He really is. He's just hard to beat. Another one of my favorite parts of the night. Sami Zayn, Dean Ambrose, and Cesaro all had a backstage cut, and they're talking about how not to trust Jericho. Kevin Owens can be a problem, and Ambrose keeps saying like, "Oh yeah, because they're Canadian, you can't trust them." And Sami Zayn standing right there, who happens to be Canadian, if you didn't know, and keeps giving him the weirdest looks. It worked really well. Like the banter going back and forth between the three of them, I thought worked phenomenally. Especially for a backstage piece. You know what I mean? One of those backstage, like 30-second clips. It worked phenomenally well. It might have been maybe a minute, 2 minutes, something like that, but it wasn't long. Then Cena returns. It's what the night's all about. They've been hyping it for like 3 weeks. Cena will be back Memorial Day. Cena was back, but it was a weird Cena. Like, he didn't come out with his normal hype. He came out talking about troops, and which you kind of expected. All his gear's red, white, and blue now. The Cena stuff was all right. Then AJ hit. And him and AJ just stood in the ring, and they were chanting, "This is awesome." Then they were doing the AJ Styles, John Cena, like split chant. Chris was kind of getting bored, thought they were chanting too long, and they should just start talking and get through with it. But I kind of liked how they were letting it build. I was fine with it. But then Gallows and Anderson show up, and they're like, "Hey, AJ Styles, you saw what we did to the New Day. Everybody get it. You know, we're putting everybody on notice. That includes you." And then what do you think's going to happen? It exactly happened. AJ Styles turns on John Cena, beats the crap out of him. beats the crap out of him with Gallus and Anderson, comes out of the ring, goes back into the ring like 3 or 4 times. I mean, he was all the way at the end of the stage at one point and ran back down and jumped in to keep beating Cena. So the club's back together. The whole little split that was happening last week isn't happening now. The club's back together. I wish I could have said I seen this coming. I did see the turn coming, and when we were watching, I was telling the roomie, AJ's turning on Cena for sure, and he did, which makes sense because you're not gonna. Cena's never gonna turn heel, regardless of what people want, and AJ can. AJ Styles can go heel or face. I don't think it really matters. So having him kind of heel turn with Gallus and Anderson, and having them going up against Cena and the New Day and some of the beloved people on WWE. Oh, the one thing Cena said though that kind of was pretty awesome was he said this new era. Either way, if the future's now, the future runs through me. And I kind of like that because he's been there since 2002. He's been around forever. You know, he's not going anywhere as much as some people would love to see him retire. I'm not the biggest John Cena fan, but I'm also not the biggest John Cena hater either. You know, I think John Cena definitely has a place in this new era. As long as they don't just keep putting him over these young guys and hurting their careers. Some of these young guys are going to have to start getting over on Cena to start furthering them as the strengths of this company. Cena's going to have to more take a back seat. He can still be a prominent part. He can run in the IC title, but the main title, he'll probably get one more run as champion, 1, maybe 2, but they'll be short-lived runs just so he can probably have the total number of championships from Ric Flair. Because I think he's at 15, Flair's at 16 or something like that. So I could see them doing that. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting. If AJ Styles and John Cena feud, which it's all looking like that's going to be Money in the Bank match, I'm all for that. That's going to be a phenomenal match. I think we're getting New Day versus Gallus and Anderson. That's going to be a phenomenal match. The Money in the Bank match itself is looking awesome, is what we're going to get to in a minute. Then, the women's division, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. They had it going so good after Mania. And the only story they have going right now in the women's division is Charlotte. And I think she's still feuding with Natalya because Natalya came out to wrestle Dana Brooke, got beaten like a minute, and then her and Charlotte started beating on her, and then Becky Lynch came down. None of this is good, to be honest. They're squandering the women's wrestling again, and that's not a good thing. That's something that I was hoping they were going to stop doing, is shortchanging the women. Now maybe they're waiting for Nikki Bella to get back and Nikki and Charlotte to have a big feud. Where the fuck is Sasha Banks? Where's women's wrestling? There should at least. And let's talk about something else that Chris kind of pointed out that I've never really noticed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in a 3-hour show, there was technically 7 matches, but 2 of them are so short. Let's call it 6. 6 matches in a 3-hour show is not enough. Is definitely not enough. They either needed. That's not enough. There is too much filler going on right now, and not enough wrestling going on. That's what I like about NXT. NXT's got little bits, but not so many. They're only an hour too, which is nice. There has to be, or is it 2 hours? I think it's only an hour, whatever. Either way, NXT's tight. It's a tight shoot. You know what I mean? Raw is so bloated at 3 hours. I really hope they keep SmackDown at 2 hours and don't extend SmackDown now to 3 hours. Because if they think I'm watching 6 hours of wrestling on a Monday and Tuesday night and then shooting 2 videos afterwards, which I know that I don't have to do, but I'm just saying, if that's I don't know about all this. That's a lot. But if they did a 2-hour SmackDown, and I think maybe trim Raw down to 2 hours, go back to a 2-hour Raw, 2-hour SmackDown, have them both live back to back, you're gonna have tighter shows, better storylines, and let's give these women more of a shot. Let's get them with better matches, more time on air. Cut out the gold dust, the R-Truth stuff. Give the women their spot, their time slot. I mean, even the Zach, even you know what? Even and I haven't even finished yet. Corbin versus Ziggler, that could have been a women's match because I'm tired of that too. Ziggler kicks Corbin in the balls and ends it like he did in Extreme Rules, but that was it's stupid. It was supposed to be a technical wrestling match, and Ziggler has a helmet on and shit, and then kicks him in the balls and walks away, disqualified. It didn't work for me again. But the 6-man tag match of the night right here, it was Ambrose, Cesaro, Zayn versus Kevin Owens, Jericho, and Alberto Del Rio. So the 6 of the 7 people who are going to be in the Money in the Bank. Oh, I'm going to call it right now, too. I think Finn Balor is going to be the last person in the Money in the Bank match. He's going to be the 7th participant. I think. I have a feeling. And he might actually even win it, too. We'll see. I'm just bold prediction of the evening. But so 6-man tag with the 6 people who are in the Money in the Bank at this point. It was a good match. It was a really good match. It was match of the night. By far match of the night. By far the match of the night. So, of course, Ambrose, the faces won. Ambrose, Cesaro, and Zayn won. Everyone got to hit their... Jericho and Kevin Owens are set on a collision course, though, because they're already kind of feuding, which is kind of nice. Because that might go after the Money in the Bank stuff, because I don't think either one of them are going to win Money in the Bank. I have a feeling it's going to be Ambrose or whoever the 7th person is. Outside shot of Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens does have a chance to win the Money in the Bank, but I don't think it's going to happen. But either way, so Raw for Memorial Day, Cena's return. It was a mediocre show, to be honest. I mean, it wasn't a bad show. It wasn't a great show. It was right in the middle. It was middle of the road. There were high points. There were low points. Maybe a little more lows than highs. I guess if I'm going grading, probably C minus, because there are more lows than highs, and it's middle of the road. So if I'm C minus, there you go. Well, that's it. That's episode 1 of Wrestling in the Basement. There'll be lots more episodes to come. I'm not doing SmackDowns right now that they're not being live. As soon as SmackDown starts going live, we'll start doing it. So for right now, only Raws and only pay-per-views. Anything live, anything not, we won't do. But that might change, and we'll see how you guys respond to these videos. So as always, follow us, subscribe. You know where to find us. Do your thing. We'll do ours. And until the next episode, deuces.